All right, Shabbat Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash, double honors the apostles and bishops and elders of Great Millstone for teaching us his truth, and salutations to the sincere Akim and Aqua that may listen. May the blessing of election be upon your house. My name is Brother Raquai. I'm back in here with another quick and Lord's will as always an edifying lesson. And for today's lesson, I just, had this topic in my mind just sitting around, and the title I have here is I gave you gold yet you're not rich. And what I mean by that, really and truly what inspired this lesson was a conversation I was having with a coworker a long time ago, and I forgot what she was saying, and she was saying something along the lines of, essentially she's so-called Jamaican Israelite woman, and she was talking about essentially the what do you call that, the slave trade, transatlantic slave trade, and the majority of us coming from Africa, and that was some of the reasons we had essentially what we have today. A lot of us, like in the Caribbean islands, for example, have like what's it called, slave master last names. And when I heard that, essentially, and she was looking at me as she was saying it, and when I heard that, I said that's partially true, and I said that's not fully true, and she was so convinced in her mind that she was right, and I said, and I tried to correct her, and I said, that's partially true. A lot of us, also ended up in the islands because a lot of us actually came from Europe, right? And when you go into the history, for example, just to make a long story short, a lot of Israelites who dwelt in different parts of Europe, essentially from ruling from like different, from the UK, Wales, Scotland, Britain, all the way across to like Russia, for example. A lot of us who were there, we got exiled to the Caribbean islands, right? Eventually we lost our power, and then Esau, came back into power, right? That's where you get the Renaissance period and so forth. So what I was explaining to her in a nutshell, there were a lot of us, bulk of us, so-called black people, Israelites, that came from those lands, and we got shipped off into Africa, not Africa, excuse me, shipped off into the Caribbean islands and into America, right? And this was information she had never, had heard of before, and she was so convinced in her mind. Right. So really and truly, how does this relate to the lesson I'm actually discussing right now? Right. It's not a history lesson, I promise. But what is this? Because what I did in that moment essentially is I had given her, you know, a bit of like, I give her like a snapshot of a period in history that a lot of our people don't know about in school. A lot of people haven't learned about, our children haven't learned this. When we hear about the Dark Ages, people think about it as something where it was lacking in economic development. It was a period in time that was completely impoverished. The people were poor, the people were famished, so on and so forth, right? And that, going into when you go into the history, it proves the quite opposite. So the reason I'm actually making this lesson, not to make a long, too long introduction, is the point that, through our apostles and elders on down, just give credit to them, right? They've, they've had their minds open up to a lot of our history and bringing out the importance of our heritage, right? And a lot of our people don't know this. And when they hear a lot of these things, essentially they don't do anything with it, right? And this is this is the point of the lesson, really, because I'm saying I gave you all this wisdom, I gave you all this knowledge in regards to our history, because our people are always thinking, we don't really know exactly where we come from. They think they came from Africa and so on and so forth. But yet for all, they're still poor because they didn't actually try and, essentially research these things out, right? Right. And that sentiment, is still very, very common today. Right. So what I want to do is bring a couple precepts. I didn't want to make the intro too long, but hopefully, as always, this lesson will be edifying. So that's really the point of the lesson, really, when they hear this word, they don't really actually try and search it out, essentially. It's just okay. They've just been told, for example, they're an Israelite, and their level of understanding just stays there. It just essentially they become very stagnant. It doesn't actually, you know, essentially like light a fire in them to actually try and dig more, try and figure out, okay, is this really true? Did we really rule in Europe? Did we really flee into Africa? Did we really come across here during the time of uh like this when it says in second Ezra, when the northern kingdom came over here to a land known as Arsareth, so on and so forth. They don't actually research and dig into these things. Their minds are just at, okay, you're an Israelite, and maybe they hear a snapshot of history and that's about it, right? So anyways, I've rambled on for quite a bit, but let me just get to the scriptures. But just bear with me on this. I just want to to shed some light on understanding on a particular situation into the sentiment that a lot of our people essentially behave, right? Okay, this is Isaiah chapter 1 verse 3. It says, "The ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib. But Israel doth not know, my people doth not consider." Right? And I'm in a situation like, I'm just going to use myself as an example. I'm always like reading books at work, and people, what what Jake normally does, they come in, they might be like, "Hey, what book you reading?" And I'll tell them the name of the book, and that's it. And I have some books that actually have some very vivid, like titles. Like, for example, you brothers can look this up. It's called Negro Question, part 4, and goes into like Dark Ages history and so on and so forth, right? And Jake, they might pick up the book, they would look at it, and like, "Oh, okay, cool, interesting," and then they move on, right? Our people don't consider these particular things. And I think another part of the reason is that they don't consider it because who the message is coming from. Because, the Lord said, as a matter of fact, let me get it. Paul said this, I think it's 25, 26. Okay, I'll start at 26. 1 Corinthians 1 verse 26. It says, "For I see your calling, brethren, how that not many wise men after the flesh are called, not many mighty, not many noble are called. But Yahweh hath chosen the foolish things of the world to confound the wise. And Yahweh hath chosen the weak things of the world to confound the weak things of the world to confound the things which are mighty, and the base things in the world and the things which are despised hath Yahweh chosen, yea, the things which are not, to bring to naught things that are." Right? So this is just the way the Yahweh Bashem Yahushai chooses. This is not of our own doing, right? And this is one of the reasons a lot of our people don't accept this particular message, because of who also that message is coming from, because we don't look all clean cut. A lot of us might have gone to college or university. A lot of us didn't. We're just, we look like regular men, so to speak, right? And so that's part of like, something I've noticed amongst the behavior of our people. They don't consider these things. They don't consider, oh, goodness, oh, I didn't know that, we were ruling in this part of the world. Let me actually try and go in and dig that up for myself and try and get my own understanding. No. Our people don't do that. Let's see. Let's get Proverbs. It says, Proverbs 1 verse 20. It says, "Wisdom crieth without, she uttereth her voice in the streets. She crieth in the chief place of concourse, in the openings of the gates. In the city she uttereth her words, saying, How long, ye simple ones, will ye love simplicity? And scorners delight in scorning, and fools hate knowledge. right? So the chief places of concourse is where you would find typically you would find different Israelite camps, you know, telling you Israelites essentially to come back to your heritage, because the Lord's going to bring a very um, gruesome destruction upon this kingdom, right? And it would behoove you to actually repent and build up a relationship with the Most High, right? Through His Son Yahweh Shai, that is, right? So getting to know your heritage, getting to know your customs, getting to know how you can become, in good graces with the Lord, because we definitely will need it as times to come, right? So, I'll read verse 22 again. It says, "How long, ye simple ones, will ye love simplicity? And scorners delight in scorning, and fools hate knowledge." And our people are very foolish, because they complain, and they don't actually consider the message that's being shared to them. Yet for all, they just go back into doing the same things that they were just doing. Let me get, there's another precept I wanted to get, actually. Just bear with me. I didn't want to make the lesson too long, because that, when you really think of it, what starting from our apostles and elders on down, this is the gold, this is the jewels, this is the riches that are essentially that are being given out. And what's happening as well, it's given out for free. And our people don't even, and our people are still poor, they're still famished, right? So that's the irony in all this, right? So the Lord is really just looking for a select few in this time, right? And that starts with the elect. Let me get okay, this is John chapter 8 verse 37. It says, I'm going to read it in the KJV first, in the NLT. It says, "I know that ye are Abraham's seed," Yahweh Shai speaking, "but ye seek to kill me, because my word hath no place in you." In the NLT it says, "Yes, I realize that you are descendants of Abraham, and yet some of you are trying to kill me, because there is no room in your hearts for my message." And one of the reasons I really wanted to bring this out, because a lot of our people will know that they descend from a royal lineage, Abraham onto Isaac onto Jacob, and then Jacob having his 12 sons. So a lot of our people will know that they descend from a very glorious heritage, right? But the understanding, their understanding of this glorious heritage and how to conduct themselves, because once you know that you're a prince doesn't act like a peasant, right? So once you know that, they don't have any works, they don't actually try to change, they don't actually try to learn more about their customs, right? Because what we're living is in a spiritual wilderness with all these different philosophies, and our people are drinking off of these different wines, these different philosophies that doesn't actually satiate you. The scriptures talk about why spend money for which is not bread, and your labor that satisfieth not, right? So the Lord, through His Son Yahweh Shai, we want through that sense of mercy, the brothers on the highways and the byways, the apostles, the elders, they're extending that hand of mercy, right? Because there's going to be a time where that mercy is going to be completely cut off, right? And then that would be it. So the reason I really wanted to bring out that particular precept is because even though they may know these particular things, they may know that they come from a glorious heritage, their understanding of that glorious heritage, the history that comes with that, learning of Yahweh Shai, how He conducted Himself, learning all these particular things, the character traits that He adopted, that He exemplified, right? Mercy, like the scriptures talk about, put on the elect. As a matter of fact, I'll get that. Learning these different things, they don't actually try to actually apply it and actually try and build a good and thorough relationship with Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. Their understanding of who they are as a person just stops at Israelite. I'm just an Israelite. Okay, so what does that mean? And it's like draws a blank. That's it to their level of understanding, right? What was it? Okay, I remember now. Okay, where is it? Just bear with me on this. I'm gonna get this last one. Okay, Colossians 3:12. It says in the KJV, it says, "Put on, therefore, as the elect of Yahweh, holy and beloved, bowels of mercies, kindness, humbleness of mind, meekness, and long suffering." In the NLT, it says, "Since Yahweh chose you, the holy people, which are the Israelites," holy meaning separate, "he loves you. You must clothe yourselves, with tender-hearted mercy, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience." Right? And these are particular traits that, we adopt as we put off those ways of the world, those Babylonian ways, right? Because it wasn't do anything for us, right? And this is what makes us, essentially, this is what makes us rich, right? But they don't have our people, their understanding of who they are just stops at knowing they're an Israelite. And then that's it. There is no like levels to their understanding. It's just like, okay, they just understand and know that they're an Israelite, and then that's it. Like, no, that's not it. That's not it. They don't have any works to show. Scriptures talk about faith without works, it's dead, right? So anyways, I just wanted to make that quick lesson in regards to that, because a lot of people may know and have this understanding of knowing that they're an Israelite. It still doesn't make them rich, right? So anyways, I'll leave it off here. Didn't want to make the lesson too long, but hopefully this was edifying. And I'd just like to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. Till next time, I say Shalom.